Good morning, my friends. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Apple Blossom, as well. We've been on your mind. Well, that's very good. Thank you so much. You've actually been on my mind today, and I'll show you what that's all about in just a minute or two. Well, here I am, Rocky Outcrop, for your morning financial show, or your mining financial show, I suppose, if that's what you prefer. I hope you're all doing very, very, very well. Very well. Hope you're doing very, very well today. Let me know how you're getting on. We're going to take a look at the charts in a minute or two and see how things are getting on. Today, one of our favorite stocks, GME, has been as high as 222, back down at around 210 or so, jumping around a little bit, that one, and it's done a couple of things we said it might do. We can also take a look at some cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. I'm going to take it somewhat easier today because last night I might have had a drink or two, so I might be feeling a little bit rough today. So woof woof, let's go. Hiya, friends. So we have the chart. Well, this isn't the charts. This is Yahoo News talking about the Federal Reserve and how it's going to begin reducing its asset purchases. And that's news, very big news, I suppose, in terms of the US economy. Key takeaways from it are that they're reducing it at a rate of around 15 billion per month, and that they are actually going to keep monitoring the situation. Now, you would have expected, of course, that's what you'd expect, right? We obviously they're going to keep monitoring the situation, and obviously they can change their minds if they want. But they mentioned that as part of the whole thing when they were talking about this yesterday. So it's worth pointing out that they want to reassure everybody, like reassure everybody as they go. So they're making it all seem nice and normal, which is good. Right. We've got various movers as well today. AHT gonna that's got stock screener open at the minute. Let me just close that down. Yeah. So we got this one, for example, over here, AHT, which we're wondering, will this hit back down at 14.98? Got a target as well that it could go down to 13.24. I actually don't want this one to be hit for quite a while, for ever, maybe just never. We've got this flash in between, giving us that kind of hope that, of course, that we might not go back there. So, while I speak on this 15-minute candle, it's been positive, but in the 15 minutes prior and the opening range of the day so far, really we've had negative price action there. So, GME, for example, over here, $215 at the minute. Yesterday, talking about this up at the 200 and, well, where was it? 239 when we were speaking, talking about how it looked as though we could be coming back to get in and fill in this gap, and lo and behold, well, we did. Pretty much. It seems like there's maybe a tiny little sliver of a gap left on there, but it's hard to sell. It's certainly on terms of the bigger time frames. We filled that right in there. 1 hour time frame filled that gap right in there. So where we are right now is asking questions about where we could possibly, end up going next. Nice to see a golden cross, you could say, on the between the 50 simple, 200 simple, and the 1 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame, you can see that we'd be coming in for a cross soon enough. 24-hour time frame here, you can see that we've never actually crossed negatively since we crossed positively all the way back in September 2020. So these are the sorts of things that, of course, longer term outlook people will be keeping an eye out for. These moving averages here, and having come down and tested the 200 simple recently, which was the first time, of course, since the cross back in September 2020. Having come back and tested that for the first time in the 24-hour time frame, that's nothing unusual in the grand scheme of things. If you want to see that sort of, like, here's a stock that's been around for a while that we look at from time to time as well. Another one, here's hitting off the 200 and hitting off the 200 again over here. Don't know if you can see that. Over here we hit off the 200 in like November 2020. Over here we hit off the 200 in October 21. So you can see, like, there's just another example. Let's bring up another stock. Here's MMAT. We crossed over here back in December 2020, never hit it, did hit it here, pushed through, came in, and it's giving us this flux. And over here we're looking at it and saying, well, could you potentially see some this here have a bit of a pullback? Matt, if I got the right one up, yeah. Could it potentially have a bit of a pullback here as we're in this area? Weekly time frame, obviously very, very positive, but overall we're in a big range. So anyway, I'll hide my background in a minute or two and all that good stuff, and we'll get on with the show. I'll check how all the chat's getting on as well. How you doing in there, chat? How you doing? Ooh, let me see what you say. So we'll do that, but I'm going to do the couple of things first. Couple of things. One is the squats, El Squattos. Let's get the squats out the way. Let's do some squats. We'll do 18 of them again. Oh, gosh. And I'll make my hair less messy. How about that? That'll be good. And then I'll show you something. I'll show you something cool that got sent to me. Show you something cool. Just a second though. Let's do the squats. 6, break for 10 seconds. 6, break for 10 seconds. 6, break for 10 seconds. You know the score. Let's do this. They're more tiring, definitely. Definitely I'm feeling it today. Okay, well done, everybody. Right, I've got something cool to show you. Thank you so much to Apple Blossom for sending this out to me. Check out. This is essentially kind of like an unboxing, kind of. I've not opened it up yet. It only arrived just minutes before I started the show, but I had to see it. So, what's that? You're thinking? What's that? Let me just show you. Got this button here. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Ah, that's too bright, isn't it? How cool is that? How cool is that? How cool is that? That's awesome. That's awesome. So awesome. Brilliant. Oh, here, right. Get rid of my background. Get rid of it, Rocky. There you go. Floating. Class. There's some reviews coming in of that. Haha. Oh, got some squat advice coming in. Spread my legs a little wider out per advice from my fitness obsessed friend, and totally feeling it in the glutes more now. Okay, wider legs maybe tomorrow. Oh my goodness, Kieran, no effing way. That's about that sign. Yeah, I know, right? How amazing. That is a DAF, says Katie. Holy sugars. Yeah. Holy sugars. If yeah. Totally. Brilliant. So, Apple Blossom, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. I don't know where I'm going to put it up yet. I'm going to have to think about these things. It's awesome. So thank you. Let's go take a look around at a couple of stocks and see what's going on, eh? Are we going to have to think about what we're doing a bit closer in terms of anything here? Are we just going to have to kind of wait it out and see how things kind of go. I mean, what's the chat here? Let's bring up. Let's bring up. I love neon signs. Yeah, it's so amazing. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Just so awesome. That's so awesome. Right? Yeah. So I mean, this is really, we've been really positive recently. This is the weekly time frame, as you can see. So this week so far, essentially, if you want to look at it in terms of would we put in a high on the weekly, which would be the first time that we'd have put in a high on the weekly for so long. If we end up the week above 210, so you could say then that we've got this sort of 210. Thanks, Mizzy. What's that one say? Morning, Rocky. My uncle has terrible luck with shares and has been scarred since the last crash. But my mum asked me to ask my stocks guru, you, if you get time to please look at TGA. He said they're offering a 30% dividend. Interesting stuff, right? That's cool. I'll take a look at TGA. And naturally, yeah, of course, scarring. It is scarring, isn't it? These big events in economic world are scarring. So there's a question here with regards to that, and if we call it $210 is the sort of the higher high on the weekly, and that's a big ticket. It's a big ticket to get. It's a big one, and I think that's important to point out. So you had a high up here in January, a high in here in March, which was lower than the high in January, a high in here in June. So then we got up very high, but we didn't manage to push higher than we had previously. We had a high in here in September, but we weren't able to push higher than June or the previous March or the previous February. So you see the point that I'm making here. However, right now we could possibly be pushing higher than September. So that'd be the first time. That'd be the first time since January we'd have had a higher high on the weekly time frame. So that's interesting. Now we've managed to put all this work in here in this week, and obviously as well, little thing that's worth kind of pointing out, I suppose, too, is that the previous highs in here at 210, etc., were it was like a month of price action where we were in and around about that prices without being able to push higher. So it was significant in terms of resistance, but also wasn't very high. It didn't make it as high as it had previously. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean substantially, sort of like we made it up so high up in terms of retracements. I can just chuck all this in the bin actually for the point of doing this. We made it up high, getting up to the 786 there. For example, we made it up high here, getting up to up as high as sort of almost as high in terms of the tick, but past the 618. For sure. And then here on this drop down, in terms of how high up we came, we didn't make it up past the 382, never mind the 50% or the 618, etc. So it wasn't very high. It wasn't a very good high, so that's something to look at. And when we jump up to the monthly time frame, then you can see that as a result of these moves really into the ending of the month, etc., that we're not there yet either. And actually in terms of like the month, and if how November could go, if just getting up to 250 again in November even alone would be very bullish. So that, so in terms of like, in terms of easy enough, achievable targets in the time frames that we're looking at, are there any, and would they be bullish, and could we do it? Yes. In terms of the retraces that we've had from the bigger time frames, have they been substantial enough to say that they've done enough on a macro trend level? Well, yes, as well. So that's where we stand with these ones, and then over any time, essentially, we could even see retraces back down to these lower levels, like we can see on the hourly time, the 30-minute time frame, where you've got moving averages kicking around down here in the 180s, etc. We could easily see pullbacks to those areas and remain very bullish, given if we were able to do those other things. So looking at this week, how do we feel about how things go this week? Well, back up to the weekly time frame this week, looking at this and saying, well, hey, do we need to do this week? It has happened all in the 1 week. Do we need to do it this week, or could we get follow through? Thanks so much, Sarah. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Another beautiful morning. It is indeed. Thank you. So do we need to do that this week? Do we need to do that this week? Well, not really, but it would be quite a substantial wick on this candle if we weren't able to do it as well. Quite a rejection of that. However, you know, it doesn't need to be this week. You can have big candles that get rejected, you get follow through. Examples of which on this chart alone, you know, exist. For example, down here, where we saw a big turnaround, and this is of course one of the big turnarounds after the major low in the market. In fact, this was the low. We pushed up the weight, get a big substantial wick here on this thing, pulling us back down the way on this candle here. So you can see the big wick in this region, while the body is only that size, you know. And that, like, so you've had these things in the past, you know, can we have them? But that's not a particularly bullish candle. Bringing that story back down with us towards the 24-hour time frame, I am going to just leave off on the weekly time frame by mentioning then again. Wow, that's so awesome. Can you, I'll give just a second here, right? I'll come back to that in a second. So we've got these two big things to look out for in terms of this thing coming up. We've got 210. It's like, you know, this is the target that we're talking about in terms of the weekly time frame and staying above things, etc. And then there's the other thing to look out for, I suppose, over the next wee while, over the next, you know, day and a half, I suppose, really, is max pain, for instance. Where is that right now, and what's happened with it? Well, since yesterday, I mean, yesterday it was like 187, or the day before yesterday. Now it's 197 is where max pain is, I believe. So so that's what, so those are a couple of things that we could look out for over this little while. And then I suppose there's one other one to stick on as well, which is the sort of the 170 two gap and flash that we've got down there at those two areas. So there's those two kind of things. Those are the three main major price points for us if we're looking in terms of retracements. And the proposition here in terms of both of these, all three of these, which are currently lower than the current price right now. That I'm saying is that we're looking here and saying, well, being above 210 is higher on the weekly. Being above 197 is, or hitting 197 is max pain, and hitting 172 is that gap in flash fill, all of which are bullish targets, which where we remain above the 50 simple moving average here in the weekly. One of the things which is maybe worth pointing out here for us in terms of the weekly time frame and where we've come recently would be to zoom on in here and show you the price action with regards to the 20 simple period moving average, or indeed, you know, the Bollinger Band basis line, and seeing that of course we dropped below that in July, managed to push back up with our previous highs, but didn't actually take the line out, didn't go towards the top end of the Bollinger Bands or any of that sort of stuff. And then we have pulled back down and now gone up to the top end of the Bollinger Bands now. So in a sense, this here, which was not a massively substantial high, was a little bit of that flux along the way that we talk about from time to time, worth pointing out. And also that and yes, indeed, that we've only just recovered this 20 simple period moving average now in the pricing of this thing. We only just recovered that now. So you know, this was previously obviously kind of bearish, and now we've turned into that zone. So movements back down the way overall, while of course taking out these, going back down to these areas at 182, etc., is within the range of the Bollinger Bands, etc. 24-hour time frame, you can see this well in terms of the overall bands that we're of course tracing towards the top side, doing very good, and that's exactly what we want to see. But of course the overall thing goes as far as 157, so the idea of going down at 174, etc., is outlandish and unrealistic. And that's of course where we find the 200 simple period moving average right now. So if we were to go back down to 174, here you'd be looking at this moving average. So if we just kind of show you what that's like, that of course is this price point just here, 176 or so is where my crosshair was when I left that off, just looking over. Whoop, that's where that moving average is here on the daily time frame. So that's where we are with this at the minute. Cool, excellent. And jumping back over here, this is to a different chart. This is AMC, very messy. How about we looks like I've lost my GME drawings, by the way. Obviously all the undos aren't going to take me back. So I've lost the dreamy drawings for now. Just gonna live with that because you know, whatever. So AMC here. Right, and that's cool. Got the fisherman dude up there and everything. Just jumping back over for a second though, before we do that, to read this message came in. Apple, who sent that $5. Just playing the message again. The birthday present. Oh, it's a birthday present too. Yes. How nice he is. How nice he is. How really nice he is. Thank you so much. The birthday present. Thank you so much. Is from Bad Mama Jamma, Queen Bee, Christy, Sal, the Cockroach, Dixie. That's D, if not everybody necessarily knows that, from YouTube here. And Observe Thyself. Don't forget to give them a shout out because it was a group effort. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Really, you know, thank you so much. And there maybe even was other people involved there, and if you were missed out on that mention, I'm sure I'll be told all about it, and I'm really grateful and thank you. That's very kind of you. I'm just yeah, it's so lovely. Right, okay, cool. So yeah, what was this? Chris, thanks so much. Super chatted. Why is that such a happy birthday? It's not my birthday today though, man. Cheers. It's not my birthday today. My birthday's at the end of the month, but thanks so much. Those guys sending that over, being really kind and sweet of them. Thanks so much. Oh look, Crack Rock, you just became a member. And by the way, for other members, if you're interested, Space Banana Banana Banana, you get a free shout out today if you want to advertise your membership-orialness. Rocco Krupi, Nacho Friend, Kieran, KP92, Darren, all you guys, I think, get your free, check it out down below, you get your free little sort of flair. So check that out as well. And by the way, as well, welcome to WRFRE, Roofree, who's also just joined the Patreon in the last day. Brilliant, excellent stuff. Shout outs for all you good peoples. Yeah, right, cool. So we were chatting yesterday. This is very difficult to see. I even me personally right now, I find this too difficult to see what's going on here. Whoa, Bollinger Bands. Right, okay, so here we are on the weekly time frame on AMC. We're below the median line of the Bollinger Bands. We're below the basis line of the Bollinger Band. Okay, this is the key pivot points for us are going to be quite clear here as well. I mean, we know them anyway. We've talked about this for a number of times. Let's just see. So there's this area here. Oh, I forgot about those. Go away. Right. So there's these areas, $40, you know, and that's where the basis line is. Up where our previous highs were, you know, not just once but twice, and this would obviously be reflected on the daily time frame as well, $44. And then if we were to want to start to trace this thing towards the top side and start actually pushing up after this rounded out top that we had previously, then $50 is what you're looking for. So who? Anonymous. Thanks so much, Anonymous. Happy birthday at the end of the month. Hey, thanks so much. It's St Andrew's Day as well, by the way, patron saint of Scotland. So best day of the year. They made it public holiday as well. Woo! Right. So yeah, right. Okay. So those two things, the mess that's in the background here has all been explained at times on the show for sure. You've got things like a big harmonic pattern in the background and stuff like that. But here on the weekly time frame, it is still too kind of dense to see. Here in the 24-hour time frame, yes. Okay. Big. We know that this thing's down below. Don't be too alarmed. Been there for quite a while. It is ultimately the bearish trend target. When all things are said and done, AMC most likely will return back down to those $10 levels after everything, you know. Is a distinction to the GME chart in terms of like the likelihood of this thing going back down to its, you know, where it was before. I think is more or less game over for anybody holding out on that front, because billions of dollars in the bank and all that sort of stuff. So time, you know, essentially different entities over there. AMC on the other hand, more or less the same entity, of course. And when the bear trend does kick off, that would be one of my targets. But don't be alarmed about that. Like I say, it's been on here for months now, and it's most likely to stay on here. Probably actually get some other flash in the meantime as well that kind of clears it off the charts. We don't have to look at it all the time, but there we go. Then so what else did I want to say about this? Well, we came back up and tested off of this drawing. We came back up and tested off of this drawing. This is one of my really sloppy channel things I've drawn in the past. Gosh, there's so much mess. So much mess. Give me a second actually till I get rid of some of this because it's too much. Still too much, but it's better. Right. Get rid of the Bollinger Bands as well. What a mess. Get rid of them. And yeah, well, I mean, basically there's not very much to talk about here in this sense of the thing. I did have these trend lines, which obviously we've retested off of the underside of if we were to have gone back in the way again. When we went back up the way, we tested off the underside of them. Overall, I'm looking to get these things broken, and I'm looking to move up towards these targets. Overall, I mean that's the target we've got on there. But we need to start putting in higher highs, etc. And on a 24-hour time frame, you can see that we've not managed to do that. In fact, as well, of course, it's been very volatile. People taking all their profits off the table here immediately and pushing this thing back down when it hit 44 this time. So that's kind of disappointing performance from this one in terms of the kind of the strength and follow through. So we're not getting any of that follow through, that continuation as yet. And again, then it makes you wonder, so if we're wanting to look towards those lower side targets, where could they be? And we've already got them kind of more or less scheduled out for us. There's down towards this 33 area would be the Alamo, or the big pivot point, if you want to call it something, if you want to give it some sort of give it some sort of name in a sense. And then there's the 37 area. 37 is a key pivot point for us on the way up here, you know, coming up towards 36, and that quite a number of times toward that 37, 36 area over a period of that week before pushing through. That was a substantial area to get past, and as we see, we pushed right through it as well, going from the 37s right up to the 38 area, which is pushing right through, unlike having spent the previous week there. So these are the areas to look to. You know, I'd be hoping to get a bounce at that point there if we were to go down the way. So where our moving average is coming in at 50 simple moving average, or the 200 simple period moving average here at the 38 price point, where we're looking to see if we can get these two to come around and cross eventually, you know, in the not too distant future. And when that happens, we'll probably get a retest of them. So if our price action is kicking around here this time, then that's not too bad. We have managed to mostly as well fill in this gap here. As you can see, we've done that on the 1 hour time frame, filled in that gap. So, you know, these things, we've done what we needed to do. This is the question at the minute. You know, we've done what we needed to do, and a lot of the traders are pushing this and then taking away the bringing this volatility in. They're not here today. They were here yesterday, and they're not here today. GME as well. This is like, there may be a bit more of them over here on GME today, but it's still not the same as it was yesterday in terms of that fast moving market. So, well, I mean, is that fair for me to say? I mean, it is still a really fast moving market. I just mean it's not the same as yesterday. We have moved quite substantially today at 228 down to 211. I mean, that $18, $17 move is significant, and we've done that today. So, right, great, groovy. Yes, Rocky Outcrop LRC, please, my friend. Right, okay, we can do that. We can take a look at LRC. Let's do a little bit of LRC. LRC, LRC Usdt. Right, great. Good to see this thing having dumped, you know, with the best will in the world for everybody watching along and chatting about it. Is good to see that this is done what we, when you're talking about it being, you know, wary of it and how to measure this, etc. It's good to see that it conforms to the rules of technical analysis still, as ever, as you'd expect. And this is not good right now, right here. I think everybody would have felt that anyway. It's probably one of the reasons why people are asking me to look at it, I suppose. $1.15. This is the low. Is this a buying opportunity? Well, sure is. You know, I can show you. Is that a short move? Good, the long one. It sure is, in the sense that, you know, in here you've got your ability to manage your risk very easily. If you're thinking about it on this type of basis. Now, of course, No, nobody really will be, but you should be thinking about things along these lines, most likely. All right, dropping down past these areas, well, we can obviously wick down here, come down here, push up again from here, and it be okay, and not actually get follow through and continuation down past this point, and that's okay. If we did get follow through and continuation down past this point, that wouldn't be okay, and therefore you wouldn't want to be in that trade any longer. Remarkable. It's crazy how that works, isn't it? I know. When you say it like that, Rocky, it seems so simple. Why did we not think of this before? Well, nobody knows. The world doesn't teach you that way, I suppose. That's probably your answer. You'd be looking then up towards for stupidly big moves anyway with this thing, even if you were trading up the way. What do you mean by stupidly big move? Well, even going up to 125 or 126 there, while the prices are 116, is a 10-cent move on top of this thing, which is $1.16. So that's a significant move. It's very much tradable and easily done. And then you can get your 5-to-1 risk to reward trade without taking out the wick of that previous high in there 4-hour time frame. You know, kind of covering up the fact that was obviously your past high on, like, say, the 15-minute time frame if you're trading this at the minute. But then does that help people who are not doing this in the only real way that you could actually do this right now, right? Which is that one, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. So in terms of looking beyond that, where are we? And that where are we with this one? We've moved so far and done so well, and it's so bullish. It's ridiculously bullish. But it could be time for a correction, and we've experienced an awfully big one so far, seeing that the prices have dropped from what were they, 170 all the way down to 115. Yeah, so we've lost 55-60 cents off this thing, and that's a significant. What percentage is that we've dropped back so far? 33%. Yeah, it's dangerous stuff here. So trading this with leverage, obviously anything over 3x and you've been liquidated. If you're on margin and you're trading this and you bought it at 170, 160, and you thought to yourself, well, really strong markets and stuff like that, I could use leverage on this. I'll use 20x, wiped out, gone. I'll use 15x, wiped out, gone. I'll use 10x, wiped out, gone forever. I'll use 7x, gone, wiped out, gone forever. I'll use 6x, oh, that's gone, wiped out forever. I'll use you see the way I'm going with this? The best you could have, you still have lost 100% of the value of the margin of your position almost by this point in the trade down. Well, about 60, 70% of it, when you're looking at fees and everything else, if you've done it with 2x. So that's dangerous, right? That's what that means, dangerous. So watch out for these sorts of things. Pushing down by this point, obviously not worth being in. So where would you be aiming down for if you were looking down the way? Well, you could be aiming down towards 64 cents, and there's a couple other reasons for that. If I jump down to the 3-minute time frame, then of course we know that there's this down here at 64 cents, which was a flash on my indicator. So that's where you'd be looking to. Now, am I bullish on this? Yes, like I said, I'm bullish on this, but I wouldn't be looking at this beyond that area without being aware of the fear that would be involved in that situation, which would be real substantial stuff. Right. However, are we ready for a turnaround? Perhaps. And maybe we need to start consolidating. The ADX is up here quite high. Maybe it'll pull back a little bit. We see it pull back at times. What kind of happens when it pulls back here? Well, let's look at the 3rd of November. Let's look at the 3rd of November. Oh, there's a 3-minute time frame. Sure, let's look at the 3rd of November. It seems to have started to kind of cool off, and the prices were cooling off there during this period. Well, it went down, then big volatility came back in again for a second. That was mad. I know we're not learning much on the 3-minute time frame, trying to show that. Just wanted to say, well, we could meet that's new language. We could a consolidate around the bunchels if we don't actually crackadackles nostril supportals. So yeah, cool, excellent, flying here. LRC, says Mango. Right, we want LRC to do really well. Of course we do. Here's Harmony. Oops, I do that from time to time, don't I? I'm typing on the wrong screen. So here's some other ones. Let's go take a trip round crypto lane. 1 USDT. 1 USDT. There can only be 1 USDT. Here's the 3-minute time frame, right? It's tiny time frame stuff. Let's not look at this. Tiny time frame. Doompy doo doo. Yeah, if things were to go absolutely to poopy doops, we know that we could go to 22 cents. 22 cents is the target. That's right. That's the target. That's the target. If we get bearishness, if we do. But if we don't, right? If we don't get bearishness, if we do not get bearishness, which this isn't, this is consolidation-iness, then our targets are very substantial towards the top side. Now, these are the targets that would take us back within the range, to here, right? Okay, so we'll take out the 30 cents area, not a big surprise, and then we can start flying towards the top side. So the 236 is in there at 30 cents, not a big surprise. 382, 31, 50% at 32. The 618 golden pockets in there at 33 to 34. 786 at 35, 886 at 36, the 1 at 37.9. You know, so the last time we were up here doing anything, we were at 37.9. Now this isn't where the party ends. There's plenty of other places to look to, and I'm going to show you just them as well. So if we were to actually get a movement on up past this area, then of course, as I introduced to the world in my seminal piece of research, Don't Be a Moron by Rocky Outcrop, there was you'd be looking towards this target up here, perhaps in the 45 cent region. That's where the 1618 is. It's expressing the a potential, you know, move up from you know, towards another big target if we were looking at this along some lines. What sort of lines would we be looking along then, Rocky? Well, these sorts of lines, my friends, these sorts of lines, where the 1618 came in here last time was at 31 from the last moves. The last moves where we went from 26 all the way down to 20. We went up and we hit off of 31. We actually went a long way beyond that. So the idea of us going up towards 45 and perhaps even a long way beyond that are not incredibly, you know, it's not outlandish. These things can happen. That's not a fractal. That's just me showing you how these things can happen. That's all that is. So obviously we would want to see this turn around. Would we not? Yes, we would. 1 hour time frame, we're below the 50 simple moving average. This is being consolidated sideways here. It's not exactly bearish. It's just not exactly bullish either. It's just in a range, and people have just been trading this, you know, with that in mind. So there are a couple extra things that we can look at though to make this a little bit clearer if we are actually starting to move outside of this area. How about I just kind of point out there is this downward moving sort of channel here. Whoops. So there was this channel thing towards the downside, okay? And now maybe there's this channel thing towards the top side. Maybe there's this channel thing over here, right? So maybe we've got this sort of a channel-y type thing on the go. So if that's the case, and we do see movements up the way, we could be aiming in towards that 382, taking us towards that 31 cent target, and then maybe we kind of range around here for a while. Now, this is to say that we've got any currently that we have the impetus right here, right now, to ditch all the way down to that 22 target based off what we're seeing right here, right now, would be an exaggeration, because this, of course, is sideways in amongst this trend, bouncing around here. But of course, we are consolidating below the 236, if you want to say that. So, you know, if this was like a bullish chart and you were looking at this saying, could we push up the way? Well, hey, we've had a nice move up and we've managed to stay above the 236, etc., etc., etc. So we obviously need to keep a keen eye out for these 28 cent areas. 28 cents, I think, is a decent pivot where you'd be looking towards 26 for your next bounce there at that point. Talking about 10% moves in these markets currently across the board. Other ones that we've been talking about a lot in the past, you know, you've got your likes of DOT over here. What is it right now? 54.15. Wow, beautiful, nice one, right into this zone that we were talking about. How weird is that? Why would it be up there where we were saying it could go to? What's that all about? Weird. Anyway, let's just assume that, let's just this thing, this is just pure craziness. Let's just go with it though. What could happen if we actually pushed into this region? Wonder what could happen. Well, the top end of that comes in at around about $62, so there's that for you. You know, decent enough, easy to make these moves become a reality. Have we gone enough so far from where we came from? And you're looking up there and see it, that's where that 1618 is. could give you that impression as well, being aware of the fact that while we're in this region here, we're obviously not above the is this okay? Yeah, all right, okay, well, we're in that region there, we're not above the the resistance of this zone. So this is a resistance taking area. Zooming on in just to see how things have been getting on. These three wee peaks here, a little bit resistant, having come up towards the top end of that RSI. Do we actually need to come down and test at this lower end? Do we need to have a retrace? I wonder. I wonder a little bit. This type of divergence that we see whilst in all-time highs at the predicted area that we've had from before in the past in the charts when we drew this in for some reason, presumably. I trust myself. This is to be anticipated. So actually looking to play this right here, right now, from any highs would be the wrong way around to do it. You'd only want to play it for the short side from beyond any lows, almost, or like, once we've cracked them. So it's the if this then that scenario, really. So anyway, as we're into this area, and there is a bit of a wedge on the go here, it's maybe worth thinking about how we might have we could experience a degree of volatility in this zone, but then actually maybe perhaps even push on beyond it if the bullishness remains in place, and that the kind of the expression of these price moves could obviously take us down the way. If we were to push down, we'd go back to 47. That would be my target, and for many reasons. And over here, if we were to push up the way, we go back right into those, right towards $60. I do have reasons, as opposed to look towards the downside, I think, which remain on the charts. But I just need to doubly clarify if that's the case. And I'm not seeing them jumping out at me. So I thought there was something obvious on this one. I mean, there's that down there, but that's not what I was talking about. No, cool, okay, sure, but I thought there was some reason to go to 48 in my head. I had one in some other analysis I'd done somewhere else at some other time, but well, I don't know. Right, sure. Like, there we are. Am I bullish on this? I have been bullish on this, been telling people about it. So that's already done a lot of its moves, though. I mean, obviously we can stay with it and everything, but it's obviously done a lot of its moves. Here's one at $31 Chainlink. Has it done all of its moves yet? And this is what we were kind of getting at as well in yesterday's show when I was talking about things that haven't quite done them. And there's another one that I made a comparison with between this one and another. So I'll go take a look at that in a minute or two. By the way, where can you short crypto? That's a thing, says Katie Babes the Poltergeist. Absolutely, it's a thing. It's actually offered on many of the major platforms, perhaps restricted to US users. If you're looking for that and you're in the US, you could perhaps try out using KuCoin. I have an affiliate link for it in the Discord, etc. You could. There's various other ones. There's plenty of them. And if you're actually looking to do just shorten on a few and do Forex, but do crypto based, then I would highly recommend Evolve.markets if you're looking for like crypto based Forex trading. Interesting stuff if you're of that disposition. But yeah, you can do it, right? What you're looking for is a derivative contract, right? Naturally, a futures is easier to be shorting things on. Futures and options and all that sort of stuff, they were designed for hedging, and you could say, some people say, economics people talk about it, and you can you can do that there. It's very easy, but you do need to think about your leverage, like I was saying, and it's the same sort of those sorts of movements, like a trading with 10x and the price of something moving 10% is you made 100% of your margin back. So substantial risk and reward, because surely with just a 10% movement then you completely wiped out your account, so up and downs. And if that was on this thing, then you're saying, well, a movement between 31 up to say 34 would be you having made 100% of the money that you'd invested back again with just a 10% move at 10x leverage. Whilst movements down towards our previous lows down here at 28 would wipe out your account entirely. So it's very dangerous. So if you did want to short and you're using a margin contract and you just wanted to say protect your, say you were long on something but you wanted to hedge against a particular retrace that was happening, you could use 1x, just one. And you're not really at any risk. So check your liquidation prices if you are trading with things like that, just to be sure. Don't do any fat fingered things. Fat fingered things are much more costly, and obviously movements in the markets, if you accidentally buy 1,000 shares of something on leverage, then you might end up, instantly selling it and thinking, oh damn, I've just lost, just stupid move there. I just lost $100 for because I fat fingered the keyboard. It's sort of things that can happen when maybe if I don't know what side of the analogy I was on there so far. I just meant like, whereas if you were trading without that leverage, then while you might still lose $100, you'd have to be trading with a huge scale to be losing that, to which case then $100 is not worth, doesn't mean the same in terms of your relative account size. So always look out for what you're doing on leverage, because of course it punishes the people who are tired or angry or upset or trading on tilt or just had a bad trade and want to trade again or over trading. All these things you get punished extra. All right. Great, groovy, cool. Link. So Link, can it do it? 15-minute time frame. We've got a couple of lows in here. These lows, completely drying up the bearishness. It is a lower low in terms of that body close here, whilst we're getting the RSI just pushing up the way. Looking to see if this can get a bit more positive, right? That's what I want to see. We've talked about this a few times. We've got like this interaction here that's between this the end of this flash and then the beginning of the other one, which means like, over here in the future we could see, of course, more interaction around that area soon, and that so there's like, that's a little pivot point for us on the way, but I'm not really looking towards that one. Instead I'd be looking up towards the sort of the golden pocket area again, where we had our previous high, and saying that it's somewhere in this region at the 32 33 would be hopefully where we start to see things then to continue to start to trend up the way. So at that point we're looking for a higher high, and how would we get one of them, and what would be our higher highs and higher lows? Well, we've got a high that's in here, a low, a high, and potentially a higher low potentially. So how are they looking in terms of divergences, etc.? High and a high in here. Well, the initial thrust up the way for this movement wasn't divergent, so I'm going to say that that's okay. And then we and then the lows, yeah. So if this did turn out to be a low, then you'd have hidden bullish divergence with these two lows here. So that would be quite a nice little setup for us. It would be quite nice. You can manage your risk fairly easily on it. It's not part of a trending move. It's right within the range. But could this be the bit where it starts to kick up the way and say that we're continuing the bigger trend? And to measure that out, I could take in this Fibonacci from that high to that low, and say that by taking out these regions, we're taking out that 618, moving up to this next region, we're taking out that 786, and it's just like, it's pushing up, substantial pushes up on the macro time frame. So these smaller time frame targets that we're looking at are the ones which lead to the bigger time frame move, where you could potentially resume the macro upward trend. That would be the bigger hope. But how would we get there? And one of the other ones that we can look at for kind of examples on this can be Kusama. Well, Kusama is like Polkadot's sister coin in a sense, and we're hoping to see it do some good moves. And we were talking about this one yesterday as well, or so, was it not? We were talking about this one yesterday. Was it yesterday? I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, we can see that it's done pretty good moves since as well. From moved down to 420, moved up to 465. So big 10%, like I'm saying, 10%, so you got in, say you were thinking about this and you're trading it using leverage, and you got in here at mid-range point here, mid-range, and then the prices jumped down the way and then went up the way, and say you were trading with 20x, like, which is quite a lot of the platforms will start off with like 20x as the standard, like, oh, you want to use leverage, great, here's 20x. Well, you got wiped out here and you got wiped out here if you were long or short, and what's happened is the prices have returned back to where they were. So when you put it into the context of leverage, it's easy to understand how these markets can move like that. Just take away the leverage part of it and think about people who are risk averse, and it's the same aspect, and leverage, really all it does is inflate the size of your trading, so so one of the things I would talk about is sometimes how you can use leverage to trade what you would have traded with anyway. You're just using leverage, it's okay. There's like different ways of doing it. If you've completely covered the amount in your account, you've got substantial margin there, then you're thinking about things appropriately. But this here is an example of how anybody who came in and thought, right, great, let's just see if we can push this up the way, or right, great, let's see if we can tank this down the way, at different times, has managed to get themselves liquidated had they not taken profit, or had they gone the wrong way or whatever. Or indeed as well, had you got in at this low on a long using the 10x leverage, then by the time they got up to here, you'd made 100%. profit. So anyway, that's just that little chat, and you've seen me chatting about these sorts of things before as well, plenty of times now, where you've got a high which is higher and a low which is lower at a period where you're potentially consolidating. Means that in this half here, this side of things, what you're looking to try and see is if you get a triangle to form out here of some sort, so looking for an equilateral triangle, not just of some sort. You're looking for this on this side, and the reason why you're looking for that on that side, in a sense, is because on this side you've got this, all right? And obviously this is like one of those diamond things, and what then you have leading up to that is, of course, this incline. And if we take that incline and pop it over here just to see how far this thing could possibly go, where does it take us to? Well, it's another level that we've already identified, and it's $533. And $533 compared to something that's $440 is a lot of dollars, right? So there's your dollars. And still then, to compare that to where we came from before and the chat that we had before, where does it take us to? Well, it takes us up these targets towards our previous highs. Yeah, it's the same type of mentality as what I'm looking at Chainlink, obviously different numbers. And part of the reason why I'm looking at it that way is because of these sort of because of this kind of similar impact, similar priced coin to Chainlink, and the sister coin to Kusama. So it's Polkadot, and it's at its all-time highs. Here's another one that's been at all-time highs recently for us, Cardano. I'll take a look at Bitcoin and the Bitcoin market dominance, and I'll take a look at some other stuff as well. Does anybody actually? Is anybody? Let me know if I'm spending too long on other stuff. I'm losing $500 on a stupid Shiba. Let's take a look at stupid Shiba for you actually then. There you go, stupid Shiba, 50. It won't be much of a surprise whenever I go down to the 3-minute time frame, zoom out, and show you over here things like how we got flash at 41, how I told everybody about these things along the way, and well, obviously not anticipating getting it immediately as went along here with the chat with us. That is totally possible, and this consolidation here didn't lead to any sort of breakout. It just went sideways out of that zone, so can ditch that idea. But sheeps, yeah, man. The volume went away, right? It was done. It was it can come back again, and when it comes back again, it'll be party time again, right? But we talked about this last week, man, so I'm really sorry for you, because there was a few things that I pointed out, and I wasn't pissing about. I was serious. Where's the bloody price action here? Yeah, I wasn't joking when I was saying like things like the volume wanting to stay in there. So it's one of the most traded coins in the market, more so than Bitcoin and Ethereum on all of the major crypto exchanges. So what's the volume look like there? Well, during this phase, it's kind of been dropping off a bit, but it still is traded. It still is heavily traded. Still will be featuring up those top ends of those charts, I suppose, probably in terms of what's getting most traded. So there's that, I suppose. So that's true. Also with these highs and pushing back down the way with the DMI, look at that. So often when you get to the even if you're going to get continuation afterwards. Go up to something like a decent sized time frame and look for the DMI highs, and that. So like these are the sorts of things. Look at the pullbacks that we got post that high, roughly 40%, and what have we seen so far? Roughly 40%. So yeah, no, like these things. I mean, it's just it's no comfort to somebody afterwards to have somebody else come along and say, well, these are the things that you should have been looking at. Or small comfort, but at least I understand. Like, and $500 isn't the end of the world. You can learn lessons from all of this, and besides, it's not over yet. However, you could easily see this thing pushing down to 41. It could easily do so if it were to take out these targets. Let me just go with 24-hour time frame. If it were to push on down to the 50 simple period moving average, it would need to go down to 228. So that sucks on the daily time frame. 4-hour time frame, the 200 simple moving average is down there at 37. So they're all kind of all over the place because as things have moved so much that you can actually see substantial differences amongst where they are. 41 is not a massive target for us if if we did get follow through and continuation from this point on the way. And while it's negative, right? You're just going to have to accept that while it's negative. So you need to see things turn around and start being positive. 15-minute time frame, we do have a target up above at 55.93, so that's pretty decent. I think this could very easily get hit, and then prices continue to drop on down after that. Could easily happen like that. So when that's what I mean, like, it is what it is until it is what it isn't. I've said it a billion times, and the first 10,000 times somebody hears it is what it is until it is what it isn't, they maybe just think I'm just being facetious or overly succinct or whatever, or not explaining anything properly. But what else can you say? Because it truly is what it is until it is what it isn't. Let me just put on the Ichimoku cloud for an example here, and just remember, like, this is price action, which is operating below the cloud. This is price action, which is operating below the cloud. Here's your prices, here's your cloud, here's your moving averages, etc. What is that? That's what that is. And then will that remain that way? Well, that's what it is, and it is that until it isn't that. And what would constitute it not being that? Well, not only would it need to come up and get past our target here in terms of 55, it would need to go on past it, because even at 55, it's still going to be below at least that moving average and below the cloud. So if it bounced away from here and didn't make it up again, then it's below it. And then when it's above it, right? When it's above it, all it's doing is giving it a first chance above it. So what you've got is, it is trending below the cloud. It is trending below the cloud, and when it goes up above, it is testing above the cloud, but it's not trending above the cloud at that point. It's not quite. I mean, what is it doing? Well, it's trending below the cloud and it's testing above the cloud. That's as simple. I mean, that's what it is, and it is what it is until it is what it isn't. So over here we can see we had a target up above, came up, hit it, pushed back down the way. Let's just have a quick sort of little kind of a measurement thing here as we kind of add to the knowledge base behind this indicator as it happens. There's the 113. We came up and we touched it, but we didn't push beyond it. We came up and we touched it exactly. So I think this is something to add to the rules, of this thing potentially over time. I'm not sure. We'll keep an eye out for this one, by the way, as it happens. But this here, it didn't push past it, and I think last time I was talking about it was like, even if it touches it, I don't think it's if it touches it, it's if it goes past it even by a penny. All right, okay, so this is the type of margins that we're trying to operate on with this indicator. I know it's almost impossible to to have a target of perfect is insane. And I coined a phrase in this channel about that the perfect ambition is to aim for being very good, because perfect is impossible. But with this this indicator, we're scientific method on it, and we're trying to see if the hypothesis is correct, and we're basing it on literally just penny movements. So it's going up to 113. If I had gone a penny beyond that, maybe we would have been trending on the way, but we weren't. So you could use the same sort of philosophy other times. Now here's an example where that was bollocks. Right, so we're trying to develop an indicator. I'll tell you right now here that, I mean, obviously that was bollocks. Look, here's the 113, and we didn't trend afterwards. We did go on and push substantially higher. We got the 113, and then it went on an additional 3% and up to the 1618, but it didn't trend that way. So there you go. Like, I'm a nonsense. Right, so we're developing this thing together, but obviously I'd like to see that thing push up past that point. Right, we need to push up past that point at the very least, never mind just go there. So those sorts of things, right? So that's where we are with it, because it is what it is until it is what it isn't. It's a downtrend on that time frame, but on the larger time frames, clearly an uptrend. Very, 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 very bullish. Let's see where it is what it is until it is what it isn't. Well, what it is at the minute is it's trending up above the Ichimoku cloud, but it's been parabolic been parabolic, which means that the danger in terms of traditional sort of mechanisms that people would use to look to say it is what it is until it is what it isn't, over here means that you need to see the prices dropping down below that 2-3 target, that 23 area, wherever we talked about earlier on, to turn into bearish markets, which is ridiculous because it would have lost almost all of its value in a sense by that point anyway. Rumph, it'd have lost what, 77% of its value, and then you're like, things have suddenly now they changed. So this is the nature of parabolic markets. So you have to look lower in that sense. It is what it is until it is what it isn't. Here's the 4-hour time frame. It was trending up above the Ichimoku cloud. Now it's testing below the Ichimoku cloud, and what is trending above the cloud, it is testing below the Ichimoku cloud. Failure to take this back out, that's not a test. That's the beginning of trending. To take out, put in a lower low, that's trending below the Ichimoku cloud. And at that point, you would say, well, it was trending up the way, and it was what it was, but now it is what it is, and that isn't what it was. It is what it is until such times as it isn't. So there we are. That's your TA on this thing. What more do you want? Specific targets, I've already given them. 55 would be your current upside target. 41 your current downside target. That is the turning of the hour. It is the turning of the hour of Chameleon. So good. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Shiba has taken quite a duty. It has indeed. Wow, on fire today, Rocky. Thank you. Seriously, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Ronaldo, man. You never know. Well, I never know. It's funny because it's more technical, I guess, than playing. I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's the same for you. Let me know sometime, man. What's it like when you're playing music? Because do you know when you really kill it? Sometimes you know, right? Sometimes I know as well. Sometimes you'll be feeling it like going, yeah. But I know that sometimes I'm watching you and I'm like, Ronaldo's on fire tonight. He's on fire. And I don't know if you know it. I think sometimes you just don't know it. It's like you've hit like home run after home run with your song, and I think, jeepers creepers, does he know that he's on fire right now? Thanks so much for telling me, man. Really appreciate it. Cool. What else have we got in here? Never let the perfect enemy of a good arm. Don't know that. Sorry, missing out on that one. Rocky is my friend. Oh, nice one. Sweet, Corey. Sweet. Yeah, cheers. That's true. We're friends now. Torsten. Hey, Torsten. Or if you don't get that, ask plenty of questions in the chat here and on Discord. Remain above the douchebaggery, y'all. Perfect. Absolutely. Everybody does. It's amazing. Thank you, Rocky. Civi CK. I wish I had good news for you, man. I wish it was like, oh, but look, it's all brilliant because this thing's right on the edge of turning around. And yeah, okay. But if we take out 55 and move up the way and take out the cloud and start trending up the way, then maybe there's a chance of that. And over here you can see 58 is where the edge of the cloud is. So it's not just like take out 55 in that cloud in that 50-minute time frame. You're still struggling here at this point. Take a couple of days to do this, and you're struggling underneath the cloud up to 61, 63, 64. So this thing moves though. When it moves, it moves. So it would probably push through one or the other. It wouldn't take days to do it, but that's where we are. That's where we are. Brilliant. Let's keep going then. Let's see how AHT is getting on now. I just did that thing again. You're welcome, by the way, Pally. Let's go take a look over here at again. See how we're getting on at the minute. 1503. All right. Okay. Yeah, big is this pullback that we're experiencing. Let me just get rid of the drawings. This pullback that we're experiencing right now on AHT, taking us back into that cloud again. That's annoying, isn't it? So in terms of Ichimoku cloud, obviously, looking all around here, we do have to acknowledge that we could go down and visit in this area. We do have to acknowledge that if that were to happen, let's just kind of sketch this out a wee bit. Imagine in a sense that we do that this line just kept going for just here. Just now, and that's where it came in at. Imagine for a second that's where that came in at. Imagine that we pushed down here and didn't manage to push outside of the cloud again, and then it came down here, and then came down here, and then turn around. That would all be inside the cloud. That'd be cool. Wait, you can't see shit there. It's behind me. That'd be all cool though. I'm just imagining stuff. For fun. But you can see that there's this line here. That's the target for us. What really though is like, what does that tell us? If it's all inside, it's nice to draw it on, and it's nice to know where that is. But throughout that time, you'd be looking at it and saying, well, if we're just in the cloud, then we're not trending. We're just in a range between the previous days. So where is the trend in cloud at? Where does it live at that time? Where could it be? Actually, just go back, so I've still got my arrow on here. Where could that be at? Right. So, you know, if we were to come through the cloud over here, that would suck balls, wouldn't it? Thinking about that. So we're at the minute we're up here and we've moved above the 1 hour time frame cloud. Coming back down and testing in at the 14s, etc., is bouncing off the cloud here. We've just had a golden cross as well. So if we were to come back down and test off a 1446 or 1444 and all that, you know, in here, that'd be fine, really, so long as we were able to get that turnaround thereafter. Pushing on through the cloud, however, means that we're probably going down to that target down there at 1326. So you don't want to go on talk about that too much. Now, let's talk about Humanigen. That was one of the Humanigen. That was one of the ones we were looking at yesterday. It pushed up a little bit, but it didn't do. Did I type that wrong? What the hell? Humanigen. But it didn't just fly into that gap, right? It didn't just fly straight into that gap and clean it out completely immediately with no issue at all. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. But we're here on the cusp of it, and we've pushed into it just the tiniest little bit. Right behind my head, we pushed into it just the tiniest little bit. But we didn't actually go flying as yet, and we backed off from it immediately. If we do defend, if this gap gets defended, then obviously you're looking for substantial pullbacks. There is the potential here to fly on the way. You can see how extended this is. This is no joke. This sort of extension that's on here. So you know, for us to even get a correction and then push up the way, we'd probably be healthier. But here we are, and there's that potential for us. Let's stick the Ichimoku cloud back on, in fact, here, so we can just kind of, you know, say where we are. So we're up above the cloud. We could easily see pullbacks that would take us down significant chunks easily with the girthy distance between us and the cloud itself as a result of us moved up so strongly up here. Does there, you know, it speaks for itself whenever profit taking comes in at previous substantial levels and things like this happen. So I would look out for that, because that would be a good buy entry, I suppose, or a good bounce area for us. But really, you know, I want to see this do very well, and I want to see it crack and just crack up the way. It's one of these ones that's a bit of a toughie as well. The gap on here, you know, so huge and done outside of normal market hours, finishing off the day one day over here, and then just bang, you know, straight down, straight, like the next day opened up. Oh wait, actually that was 8th of September, the same day. Did it do it at the very end of the day? I'm not yeah, it did that at the end of the day. Oh, no, it wasn't. That was the start of the next day. Sorry, confused there. Exactly. It just gapped down here, and it's kind of one of these ones where it's like, well, do you want to make a trade to play a game where you're relying on the manipulation of institutions and hedge funds, etc., to come in and push the market, pre-markets and post-markets, when there's low liquidity, up the way for you, so you can ride their coattails? And that's cool to do that. If that's the plan, that's cool to do it. But that's just to think, like, if this was to happen during open hours, then how would that go for us? And the sort of percentage moves that you're talking about here are also very, very girthy. With a 78% need to go up the way. So to get these sorts of moves to happen in market when markets are open normally is very tough, and then therefore you can understand why these things often do happen outside of markets, especially when it's easier to manipulate with the lower liquidity, blah blah blah. Anyway, this movement up the way, it either it does do that, great, fantastic, and this is just shitey charts because it just doesn't do chart any stuff, which is fine because we're able to assess that, or it does typical things, in which case, you know, discounts down the way towards $7.37 wouldn't be a surprise. There is actually as well. Is there a flash down here as well for us? Aye, 7:30. There you go. There you go. So I'd look out for that. Ronaldo, love your Dave Matthews covers, says Amber. That's quality. Woo, yeah. HJ is dead, trying to get me into trouble here. Really? What's HJ's dead saying? Did somebody say girthy? Yeah, I did. It was me. I said it. I said girthy. I say girthy all the time. It's because it's you know, it's just the facts of life, isn't it? Yep, the flow. Sweet. Thanks, Ronaldo. It's coming back and giving me, telling me how it's going. There are times when I know things are fire, and then sometimes I'm so deep that I don't know, but I always have amazing peeps surrounding me to give me that feedback. Yeah, man. Thanks so much. Well, that's great. That's so nice to have that little insight. I really do appreciate it, man. Really do. You are great. Bitcoin down. USDT. Binance. Okay. There's some words. Let's go take a look at Bitcoin. Let's go. I did it again. Let's go take a look at Bitcoin. BTC USDT. Ooh, I can talk quickly. Bitcoin down 61,590, up from 60k though. Hey, or 61,000. Wait, what time frame is this? What? So yeah, it's moved down a bit. Whoa. Yeah, this is 24-hour time frame here. It's gone sideways since the 20th of October. Ugh. 22nd of October, if you want to say that. So we're in November now. So up, down, left, right, jobs are good in. We're still kicking along. But does it look good? No, it doesn't. Does it look bad? No, it's just consolidating, isn't it? So where is this? Right, so we want to take a look. So let's just check in with the Bitcoin dominance chart real quick. 43.25, interesting stuff. While Bitcoin remains high, there's that alt season type chat that we were talking about. We did talk about this, by the way, over here when Bitcoin, the dominance chart was up at 47 over the 18th of October, and now we're down here in the 4th of November, having talked about how this could come along. So while things is what they is until they is what they isn't, this is an example of how when we were talking about it, they very much is at that time above the Ichimoku cloud and whatnot. And I was saying from that point that I anticipated a pullback, and that was to do with a few different things at the time, right? Don't want to get into too much complicated stuff, but then when we did crack down below the cloud, we can say here that we came all the way down, really, testing right into the cloud with these movements, and we didn't even try really to break back up above it. And in fact, we just put in lows and then lower highs and lower lows. And then it was like, well, up here we were trending, and then down here we were trending, and we were trending below the cloud. And that's just what that was. Anyway, Death Cross has come in here recently. If we were to go up and test the 50, it'd be a substantial test of the 50, but it would still just be a lower high. If we were to go up and test the 200, it could be debatably, the first sort of high, which is, could be turning things around, but we need to see a higher low at that point. So I wouldn't, so movements beyond 45 at the minute are too much to ask for in one blow for me personally, just as it happens. So so that's to do with the relative values of Bitcoin versus all the rest of the stuff in the market. It's a macro thing. This here is Bitcoin 62k. Yeah, doing fine in terms of CMEs. We're contangled over here in CME, which means it's trading at a slightly higher price than the spot prices are. So this is spot, and this is a nice introduction for people who trade who are new to stock markets and want to know about a couple of different terminologies that you've got. So the CMEs is the coronal mass ejections. It's a society of astrologists, and what they do is they put out charts based on the future. So they look at the stars, and then they've got these future charts. So these are called futures, right? And you can use futures to hedge. Hedging is whenever you put a shrub between you and your neighbor's property. So if you want to put a shrub between you and your neighbor's property, you can use the Bitcoin that you can buy from the astrologists over here in the coronal mass ejections, right? So that's a nice little introduction for everybody. And you can see that this is this is the spot price here is 62,300, and that the CME price here, which is the coronal mass ejection price, they're based out of Chicago, is 62,000. That means they're contangled. That's the word CONTANGO. Contango. It's a real word, and it means that it's a head. I don't know where exactly it comes from. In my head, I've always translated it as with tango. When you've been tangled. Aikara. So then I also think about the opposite side of things too at times. Is it backwardized? So you can have this backwardation. So if futures markets, like we have here on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, where they trade, substantial professional traders and institutional level traders are trading here with their minimum account sizes, etc., and that or wealthy individuals, etc., and they trade with futures contracts for this one, and if it's priced lower than the spot price, that's called backwardation. and it speaks for itself. When the general markets expect the future thing of something to be worth more than the current price of it, that speaks for itself. It's indicative, so it's worth pointing out when that's the case, and that's the case right now between these two. So also then this chart, if you're looking to get it up yourself, is BTC 1 exclamation mark. That's BTC 1 exclamation mark, and you'll recognize this from futures things, or for instance oil contracts you might have seen with this 1 exclamation mark, etc., stuff like that on there. Okay, you might have seen that. So that's when you recognize that you're dealing with a futures contract from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's probably going to have a 1 exclamation mark or 2 or 3. So anyway, so yeah, here we are. And is there any significant gaps on here for us to look for? Let's just look up and see here. This is a small enough time frame, 4-hour time frame. So I'm looking for them. There could of course be gaps on smaller time frames, but just looking along here now. Gaps on Bitcoin. What are you talking about? Gaps on Bitcoin? Well, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the coronal mass ejections, actually close. During the day, during the evening, they close during the night for an hour every day, and then they're closed for an extra day as well at the weekend. So you get gaps can appear because of course it's a never-ending thing with the spot prices on Bitcoin. That's kind of like your post-market, pre-market in a sense. It's not really, it's just the market. And then but from this point of view, and then of course the markets will open back up, the prices will reflect what the underlying is in the rest of the world, which is of course been trading in the meantime, and then they might move there immediately without having had any trading in between, creating gaps. So to see these gaps a little bit easier, because we have got one on the screen just down there, let's just hide the Ichimoku cloud there. We can actually let's just hide the moving averages as well, sure. So we've got a gap over here on CMEs. Where's that coming in at? A big old gap in there at 35k. Now 35k, if we were to jump all the way down there, would we be backwardized at the point that we got there? Would we be contangled by the point we got there? So that's an interesting one for us, and it's as a general sort of thing to look to, that might be one of the targets to have. So when would we start looking towards that? When would we start looking towards that with any sort of real degree of gusto? One way that we could do that is taking it from this previous low over here. This is all done on the CME charts, by the way. So I'm doing all of this here to look at the CME charts. When I say if the prices were to drop below 59,855, I'm talking about the CME charts. Let's just look here for reference. At the 27th October 21 at 10 a.m., the prices were around about 58,900. Obviously, they'd gone as low as 57,000, and it's that's the bad one. The next hour we're at 58 is the middle of that one. Go over to the regular Bitcoin chart and see here that in there it was no longer backwardized at that point. In fact, they were operating in lockstep more or less at that point. I think very similar price in here, it seems. So that's another interesting point, right? So we can see that the last time we were just over here at this low, that we were at the same pricing, so we weren't backwardized or anything. There's a gap potential for us down lower, wherever it is. There's also, I think, maybe a flash in here at 44k as well to be taken into consideration. Although I can't remember what time frame I drew that would have been on. So all of that. Oh, look, there's another instance of the flash working like kind of beautifully with regards to where the prices came back to before bouncing off again. Interesting, right? So yeah, so what am I doing there? It's a substantial thesis that I'm building up here, I suppose, right? A substantial one, but and there's lots of different moving parts, but the guts of the thing boils back down to just kind of saying, well, let's measure, let's know that we have potential targets that are lower, and let's measure around and see then. Just using simple tools. I mean, I do love using the Fibonacci, so using simple tools to do it. 59,000 here as well, dropping below 59,000 is that 236 point back over there on the CME charts, just to look at again and see here 59,780 over there on the spot charts, 59,000 flat. So that's $700 difference, something to look to perhaps if we were to be crashing down there. Have the markets contracted and that contango nature of the CMEs disappeared as we're crossing over these pivot points? Because if that's the case, then you do one sooner than the other. So these little dynamics that you can look to if you're interested. And then of course we know there's that that 618 golden pockets in there, where would it be coming down to if it hit off of that 33-ish K target? That would be a 1272, a 1272. Somebody spoke yesterday or the other day about with regards to Fibonacci and how you can do negative numbers on your Fibonacci. And I'm not going to say that you can't. I just might as well just take a second here to point these things out. Right, here's a Fibonacci for you. And there's your positive extensions, but there's no negative ones down here. Here is add on a negative one here. I'll just put this as minus 0.236. I'll put this as minus, whoops, that didn't work. I don't recommend doing this. 0.236. And I'll put this as minus 0. Minus 0.382. So I've got those two numbers on there. There's your minuses, and here's a 0 and a 1. So that's how that was drawn in. The other way around though. So let me just pop this other one on top of it. Here the other way around, and you can see the 1272 is a little bit different position to the 236. Well, they're different numbers. I mean, it would be maybe 1236 might get them to line up on top of each other. Well, let's just experiment for a second and go 1236, 1236. Pop that on there, and oh my goodness, now they'll overlap on top of each other. Then what about this 382? What number would maybe be that then for it? 1382. Let's just stick that in there, and oh my goodness, they overlap. Well, we know that 1382 and 1236 aren't actually Fibonacci numbers. We know that there are these other ones, and it so often goes to them, and that ultimately, generally speaking, that this minus Fibonacci thing is a little bit of a gimmick. I mean, that's the truth, right? That's the truth. That's the truth. It's worth pointing that out for people to know that that's what that is. Now, because I've just edited one of my Fibonacci's, if I were to draw on a new one, it would use those edited numbers. What I can actually do here is just change this Fibonacci around a little bit, open it back up, close it down, whatever. And now when I go to draw on a new Fibonacci, it uses the settings of the last Fibonacci that I edited, as opposed to the last Fibonacci that I fully drew on. So I've now got my settings back without having to do anything. That's nice. And also it means that you could also have different defaulted settings. If you were looking to do a little bit of work where you wanted 3 different types of Fibonacci's, and you know you've only got the one sort of out of the box, and then your defaults and stuff, you can make templates. And then as well as if you were just like looking to grab it without having to change your template, you could just like, you know, open up the settings, close them. You'd be using that one, open up your settings, close them. Handy little things like that. No, just little tips. Right. 4:20. Well, that means we've got 10 minutes left of this show before I tune out, I would say. So let's go back around to Stockland again. Oh, you take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Stockland before ye. Great. Great. Excellent stuff. Super happy. 220. Excellent. It's where we want to see things. Great. Brilliant. Can we sustain them up above there? I'm happy when prices are above 210. Ecstatic in terms of the week. 220. Brilliant. Want to see more of that. What else is there on that front? 1 hour time frame. Nice little recovery here. You can see this upward sloping line, I suppose, if you're looking for something to kind of you know, assess how we're getting on here as we move upwards. That would be one of them. So that's pretty good. That's nice. Doing well here. So yeah, continuing on the way. Let's just hope that the beat goes on. Right? Great, fantastic. Nice pullbacks today. Nice trading opportunities for people. You know, this is the lessons, I suppose. It's like a lot of people, you know, that we're using this chart as a lessons type of chart. You know, consistently looking at the similar charts all the time and learning how you would trade if you were to be trading this thing. We spoke about yesterday how 210 would have obviously been a buy area. 171 and 210 were the two that we were looking to. So nicely got for us, the best buy prices. Now you're here, but obviously we haven't taken out that previous hourly where we started off the day. We're still down on the day, and between this high and this low, that's not quite perfectly popped on, but that's okay. You can see that the pivot point in terms of things is 218. So while we're at 221, 222, very, very good. Dropping down below 218, not so great, not so great. So and we do spend a significant amount of time around these areas. So that's just where we are with this one. There's not going to break it down any more than that. AMC doing well here again, the same sort of thing. He's just doing well. $40 equals doing well. Okay. AHT, is it recovered much today so far? No, it's still pushing down the way like we were. Or is it? No, wait. What? This is more or less the same price as it was when I was actually looking at it a minute ago. So we're doing all right there in that front. I've covered a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies today as well. What other ones are there out there? I mean, Doge is going to get some attention again soon, right? Doge has been doing shite. Why? Well, because it's mostly is shite. Sorry to break it to you. And yeah, but can it actually resume the upward portion of these trends that we've had? Massive pullbacks here. We've obviously pushed down below this green line. This is one of the kind of this is a little sort of, I just drew one of these on GME a minute ago. So you just had the lesson, like I was saying, on the lessons chart over here onto a chart that, you could be looking at. We pushed down below it. You could be very much more positive while you're above it, looking for moves which are substantial towards the top side. And so like anything up here without taking out our previous highs would be like 10, 20, 30, 20%, but we're below that currently, that line. So there's that aspect of things. Obviously we wick down quite a few times when we do this. So that's cool structure wise. Hoping to see some hidden bullish divergence in there. So this low versus our previous low, which there yeah, okay, maybe got some hidden bullish divergence. So all of that, but where is the what is this? What's this? What do I mean when I was saying it's doing crap? Before, in the sort of short-term time frames, it's been pulled back. It's pulled back all the way from 34 down as low as 25. Significant, that's been crap. But maybe we do see a turnaround here, right? Maybe we do, and we can push on and go towards the golden pocket. That would be my next kind of target. But this is one of these. This is like, this pumping is kind of the raison d'etre for Shibu, in a sense. That it's all like, oh, we missed Doge, let's do Shibu. They're both the same dog, so that will help. And the money flows around a wee bit in this way, right? Money flows around a wee bit because what happens is you've got like YouTubers out there like Ivan on Tech, who in the crypto field runs a pump and dump boiler room, for example. So you can buy access to this thing for $6,000 a month, and then you just do pump and dump schemes. Okay, so like that's, for example, it's illegal, right? But not necessarily in unregulated markets with people around the internet. So there's these sorts of things that happen. Obviously it's a bad investment, in my opinion, and that sort of thing, because it's like, anyway, but they exist, right? They exist, and that. So SHIB is, and I'm not saying it's a pump and dump group that's done this on its own. I think this is like, this is the same sort of thing as like the Wall Street Bets ideas and different other sort of pump and dumpy groups. You're going to find that the big holders in it dump onto everybody else as part of that pumpy dumpy group too. But overall, they've all kind of done well. But during this period of decline, which has been a decline for Doge and a decline for SHIB, we've seen things move into other cheap coins, which sort of, because there's this idea of cheap at the minute with regards to these things. So you've got Digibyte recently having moved from lows down here up to highs up here, which is 73% increase in price. It's had a bit of a correction since, but it's kind of one of these little things. There's other kind of real cheap, so to speak, coins that are kind of potentially picking up some of this price action. Then there's other ones that are in that 20-30 cents region. I mean, this is less than this is the cheaper ones, 5 cents and stuff like that here. But if we jump up again 5 times more expensive, you've got the likes of Harmony One, but there's also other ones. Raven out there doing really well recently. Raven USDT, nice, and this is one of the good ones that we talked about in terms of trading recently with with targets that we had a target in here at 10. Perfect. It's up 40% since we hit our targets. So we had a couple of them. There's like trading between 10 and 12 was the thing to do for a couple of blasts at it. So we made it up past 9 into 10, take it up to 12, cashing out, taking it back down to 10, cashing out, taking it back up to 12, cashing out, taking it back down to 10, cashing out. So that's happened all these times here. Now we've pushed on past that region up towards 13. It was actually 14 earlier on, was it not? 14.90, nearly 15. So we're at 13.9, so we're nearly 14 at the minute. So you know, that's 50% increase in price, right? 40 to 50, whatever. So it's big stuff. So somebody was asking for that here in the show. And we did this together, so nice one. What are we thinking in terms of pullbacks? Well, clearly, you know, the sort of 13.5, a pivot point for us. If we were to be dropping down from that, you could be going down to sort of 11.5, just like kind of those sorts of things. These sort of buying the dips along the way has been okay in the last 40% move on Raven. This is his all-time high over on the left here. This is the substantial corrective low. Looking back to the left, just to reassure myself that I was right about that. That's not his all-time high. Sorry, that's just the August high. I'll bring it back to the all-time high in a second. We're at the golden pocket here at the minute. Did push on a bit higher. Taking out that 13.5 area is losing the golden pocket, and then, you know, that's the same sort of thing. So there's a bit of context for us. Pop this up to the all-time high here in the summertime. I'll just double check again before, you know, I leave that point that it was indeed the all-time high. 236 was in here at 11, so nice move beyond that. The 382 in here at 13.8. So good, right? Good. This could be the start of something. Break that 13.5. I'm looking for 11.5 because that's where the 236 is here as well. So we're seeing that. Whoops, that's the wrong place they've drawn that into. That's wrong place. That's wrong. That TA was wrong there. But nevertheless, interesting, but wrong. But is the when you've measured something wrongly, right? If I go into my kitchen and I were to measure the distance between the oven and the dishwasher, it'd come back as 120 centimeters. And if I were to measure the distance between the side of the dishwasher and the wall, it would come back as is that right? Am I right in saying that? Yeah, it would come back whatever, right? These things have got sizes and that. So if a market was moving around completely randomly in a sense and not go into any of these sizes, then you wouldn't expect to see any sort of neat overlaps. But if things are chunking around and everything's kind of having modular moves, then you would see a degree of overlap there. So let's just look again here and see anyway. The 236 in there are 64. This little the targets I talked about with 13.5 and 11.5 are real targets in this region, but in terms of the all-time highs to the corrective low that we had, the high in February 21 to the low in June 21, then you can see that this is a different set of Fibonacci's. Looking here to 64, if it was to drop down loads, I'm not rushing for any of that. Definitely not. I want to see this be positive. I want to see this be positive and take out this knot of price action just in here where they had these previous highs drop down the way. If we come up and when we like to bull flag out here somewhere around this region, I'd be happy to have that for a couple of days and then push on the way. But if this actually is got hidden bearish divergence on it, I'll be a bit displeased, and I'll point that out right now if that's the case. And it wouldn't have it. So yeah, so this last push that we had was so high on the RSI up to 90 that it would be that you're very unlikely to get hidden bearish divergence, in fact, with any moves up here which fail at those areas. But if we did get it, then it would be significant, but it was very unlikely. Anyway, I don't know. That's enough on that one. That's enough. I mean, I've looked at so many cryptocurrencies today, and I could keep looking. There's a whole host more that I wanted to look at. I can't even remember what I've looked at so far. But there's loads. There's loads and loads and loads and loads and loads, and super interesting stuff. And you can often find that a few of them chunking movements in the markets together. I'll go back over and take a look at Tezos for a quick second here, just to see how we're getting on at the minute. 620. Let me hide the drawings so I can see the chart itself. Yeah, very tight in there. Tight in here. Tight in here. Where's my ADX kicking around at in all these different time frames? We've managed to consolidate without losing, without dipping too much below that chop territory so much. Yeah, okay, cool. Everything's just pure sideways there. A nice little potential move up the way to 670. I mean, that would be the next target anyway. Pure sideways, interesting stuff, kind of distilled sideways movement in this last little chunk. And they were seeing the whole thing has a flash over the background of it because, you know, as you can see here, big flash. We just went through all the different small time frames to see how this was going. It's interesting pure sideways movements. And where is this happening at? Relative to that low, to that high, it's impossible to see at this point. Screw it. From that low to that high, there's everything's in the bin. I'm going to undo that in a second. Yeah, 236 right above us at 640. 620 is where we are just now. Moving above that and validating it, moving below it. We are below it. We've been coming down here, consolidating down to this region, drop down below it. Can this be a little fuel stop for us to get, rocket fuel for our moon journey? That'd be nice. Do we have hidden bullish divergence like we were asking before on the other chart? Yes, we do. So we've got hidden bullish divergence on here. That's nice to see as we have this low hidden bullish divergence. Yeah. And I just had to check myself. And we've taken out that previous high with this one. Okay, cool. Right, yeah. So simply put, there's a massive range on this thing that could really I wouldn't trade this with high leverage at the minute either. I am positive on this. I'm still positive. We've got a target, a bigger term target for where did we aim up for? I think it was $11, I think. Yeah, up here towards, was it $11 that I'm aiming towards? So could that be the next target, and have we seen enough with this movement to bring us up there? And this will just finish us off for the day, I suppose. When we've done this, I'll go back and check the stocks we like. That'll take us up to 1239, the 1272, and at 1048. I mean, it's not. I just wanted to see. I think that this is one of those pivot areas. We've seen this a bunch of times, so you can see it again. Here, good. Here, bad. Here, bad. Here, bad. Here, good. Here, pivot. Here, pivot. Here, not known yet. GME. 219. Okay, cool. So we know 218 kind of important number. 222 going to be profit taken at that point. It's going to be profit taken at 250 again if we go there, by the way. 210, decent buy area. Crack down below that. Hesitate around the 200s. Max pain at 197 this week. Could see us down towards, could see us going down towards those numbers. That's totally potential for us. But very, very, very good. And yet again, proving the market's wrong. All those sorts of Ortex idiots, etc., that were saying that they've got this target towards the downside. Well, sure. I mean, if you'd traded off the back of that at 170 to go towards the downside, as everybody on these fundamentals and the analysts and stuff like that exist out there that aren't interested in this or saying it's negative, they're looking at it for a whole number of reasons to say that it's negative, and they're biased, and then they're human, and then they become fish, and then they bite the end of our fishing rope, and we reel them in and we gut them. And that's how that works. So we do that on a daily basis. It's how we destroy the fish. And so you wouldn't have wanted to trade that. Imagine you had. Big mistake. So now that we're up above $200, we can say that we have changed conditions again. And the one way and the easiest way of doing that is to point out the fact that this would be a higher high on the weekly time frame, and overall just the sheer positivity that we found and so far, and that if we were to come back down and retest this low, we get them all the way down to the 170s, the 171s, without taking out the lows of the previous area. So gives us a nice little box around the prices in terms of this region here, in it or above it is effing yes. Really, that's where we are. And it does. And then when I pop the moving averages back on, you'll see with beautiful correspondence with what I was just talking about there, and the 200 simple period moving average, when it reveals itself, which it may never do, in the 24-hour time frame, then you'll see then that this is the way that a lot of people will be looking at the markets right now as well. So obviously things do get nervous if we find ourselves next month down below these price targets, we'd be having kind of different style conversations about it. As it stands right now, we're the ones that are like, told you so, to all the people who are like, oh no, 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 over there. Fannies. Right. And then AMC, same story. Brilliant. Excellent. Nice ones. And that brings us to the end of this show. Great. I'll just check back there and see that I've not done something stupid and missed loads of chatter, because that does happen from time to time. People will be at me and saying, you smell like cheese. And I'm like, what? All right. Oh, Apple Blossom just saw it. So glad he likes it. Oh, thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Bad Mama Gemma. Thank you all. I don't know how I'm going to put it up, right? I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know where I'm going to do it. I got it delivered. So the chances of it being in the background on tomorrow's show are somewhat slim, because I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And I don't want to hang it up and then it fall over and smash or something like that. I mean, that could happen. So, but it's great. I'm so pleased. I'm so freaking pleased. Thank you, thank you, Queen Bee. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Cockroach. Thank you, D. Thank you, Sash. Thank you, thanks, Justin. Thanks, people. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. So reverse roll call time. Woo! What was that? Observe thyself. It's a 2-part thank you, so I hope you caught 2 where he thanks everyone. Oh, it's a 3-part thank you now. Hey. Chewy just got a higher high, did it? Ah, Chewy. It's been a wee while since I've looked at Chewy. I can't remember what the chat is with it. Chewy. I say quite a while. Here, obviously, I drew in some sort of, on some time frame somewhere, I've drawn in some Fibonacci from around about here to there. I don't know why I drew it in right like that. Must have been different time frame. And or something. I don't really know. We went up to hit the 1618. So we hit the 1618. That seems to happen from time to time. And we drop back down the way. I don't know what these drawings would have meant. We'd have to look back in my old videos to find out. But let's just real quick pop that down there. Real quick pop this up here. And see where we could go to next as our retraces, and acknowledge a couple of simple things right here, right? This box shows us where there's a gap on the charts. In the middle of that box, you will notice that there is the 618 golden pocket. You'll also notice, to follow through that lesson I did earlier on, I adjusted that Fibonacci, drawn in a new one, but it's the old style. Come up here, open up this thing, change the settings of it, go back, draw on a Fibonacci, and it's that style. Oh my gosh. Right, cool. And then you've got this high to this low, and the 236 is lining up with the 50%, or the 382, sorry. 50% is lining up with the golden pocket. So yeah, substantial. This is my target on this one, would absolutely be there right now. Got other things that would probably point out as well for us, like your man here, which stands on the diving board. The year 2021 is the year of this analogy. As ever, give him a smile here, and clearly you can see that we're back into breathing territory again in here. So this is nice that we can actually breathe again in here. Woo! So all of those things, those would be the things I would look to. Not looked at oscillators or anything else, but there you have it. What are the things that I look to? I would look to the substantial and distinct and obvious stark downtrend that this is in on the broader term timeframes. So like, let's not be too distracted. Let's talk about movements within the ranges. If we do actually push higher and we're looking for that upper target, then going in for that 61618. I actually quite like the layout of this Fibonacci. I'll keep this for a wee while. Oh, you can't see shit at home though, can you? So we could be aiming up towards this 1618. If we were to come in for the golden pockets and everything else, what does that line up with? Oh my goodness, the top end of that downward channel. Oh my god, Rocky. Oh my god, Rocky. What is this? What is this? Everybody that you're watching along today, and everybody, if you're new, if you happen to be new here, what you're watching along is that you're watching along a guy who can take a chart, like this, and take a chart that's difficult to see what's going on, and then he'll put a few extra things on top of it, and boom, there's amazing amounts of confluence. You can see how everything's happening. You understand that like why this particular point here in the charts would be substantial of real note and interest when, you know, even without this gap, if this wasn't here, I could point to this region and say there's reasons for this, and it wouldn't just be one, it would be several, and it wouldn't just one with no context. It's several with the context of where we've been to, and it changes the charts. I mean, obviously your charts are going to have red and green on them and stuff like that, but I didn't demonstrate to you, you know, in terms of the lessons here, the reasons why I've got my charts. I would prefer probably in a way to have the colors on, you know, and just like, you know, and I think I would probably get more people subscribing to the channel because it would be more obvious and visually obvious what it is. But I've been doing this for quite a while because I want people to be able to understand the significance of pivot points in markets. And as you can see, without the colors on here, it draws your attention far more suddenly, in my opinion, to the shape of the overall movements. I think that without the colors, you're able to see here the movements a lot easier in terms of where the market's been. So then when I go and finish off that point by saying that we are in a downtrend on Chewy and have been this entire year, and that if you were looking for the upside, you would be looking to take profit at $82 because looking beyond that is a bad idea at the mean in for here and now. But if you were to look beyond it, you'd look up towards the 1618, and let's just finish off this thing by pointing out where this is and where this is, and they're on the same level, and that would be an equal high. And there, of course, you would anticipate people taking profits at the all-time high again, because that's how this stuff goes, right? Brilliant. There's some Chewy technical analysis as a nice little shout out for them, right? Actually, as well, before I go, let me just plug that thing in again and show you what it's like. Sashi, you might not have seen it on. It's not unwrapped yet. It's partly unwrapped. That's freaking amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I know it's just amazing. And it looks really red, by the way. You know, it's real red. Like you can see it reflecting off of me, and it's really red. It's just my camera doesn't make red when it's coming out of a red light look red for whatever reason. So it looks. I think it looks fucking epic. Goes really bright as well. It goes really bright. I really appreciate this. I really do. I really appreciate this. I think that you are brilliant. Everybody, and thanks so much for that crew getting together to do that. It's just so nice. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate this. I really do. I hope that that's known. Hope you can know that. I'm so overwhelmed with that. Thank you so much for the gift. Right. Okay. So, Anonymous, thank you for the tip earlier on. It was quite good. We've done it. It's nice to have done an education show today here, to have looked so much at cryptos and talked about so many different things without, and it be nice and relaxed and everything else. It can be a nice demonstration to people that I'm not, so that you know, that I genuinely do appreciate you. I hope so, and that and this just mean that being here and doing this with you all means so much for me, and I appreciate it. I'm just so blown away by that. So it was really nice. I didn't expect it. I thought Apple asked me for a logo or whatever, like image copy the file, and I thought she was going to send me a mug. And I thought that's really nice of her. She's going to send me a mug. That's really nice. So I'm totally blown away. And the fact that you were conspiring together as well. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my emotions are what keeping me here at the minute talking to you, is because I've now got attachment problems. I don't want to leave. Right. So I better get it sorted. Amanda, thank you so much. 1337, really appreciate it. Crack Croc became a Crack Croc became a member. Thank you so much. Chris Sweeney, thanks so much, pal, for sending me the birthday message a little bit early. I love it though. Only another 26 days to go. Apple, the birthday presents from BMG. Yep, thank you for that. And for tipping me a fiver to tell me that as well. Thank you so much. Sarah Restino tipped $20. Another beautiful morning. It truly is. Thank you so much for that. Ms. A684, thank you as well. Brilliant. Excellent. 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 What a day. What a fantastic day. Great. Cool. And also, like, I feel kind of night. I feel really great to have done an episode with not loads of donations or anything like that, just to show people it's all not just because occasionally it's nice for people to see that this isn't. This is the show is the show. The show is always the show. Yous are always the priority. Yous are always first priority, always. Um, and I'm here to do what I do, and that's that, and the donations and everything else are an outcome from that, a symptom of it, and it's just, and so it's nice to have that. So it's nice to have that today. I think, I don't know, I think so, in terms of the zeitgeist and everything else. Ms. A, thank you so much, Rocky. You're so much welcome, Ms. A. Civi CK Frank, friends, yes, man, so much. Squads, we did the squats earlier on as well. J Ray, thanks, Rocky. You're welcome. Cheers. Ronaldo Moreno says, Homer, you're welcome from me too, because if you say thanks to me, you're welcome from me too. I'm coming to the Discord Tuesday. Oh, cool, nice one. Nice to see. We'll see you then. See you then on Tuesday. Love y'all. Love you too, Chippy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Corey, great show today. Rocky, thank you so much, Corey, man. Great to have you here as ever. Crack Croc, thanks so much for becoming a member today. Ronaldo Moreno, please do go check out his YouTube channel. I'm able to let he's off the hook that he's made it up to 585-ish subscribers. I really want to see that at 600 the next time I go along and check it out. Please share it with your friends. You know, if just go to his channel and find a version of a song that you like him singing and share that with somebody. Say, check this song out by this guy. You know, check this song out by this guy, and send it to a friend. I would do that. I've done that. I've done that a lot of times already. Chippy, Homer, yeah, great. Stephen, thanks so much. Great show today. Yeah, it was good one. Failure to deliver. Bing, 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 bong, bong, bong. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. And great, nice one. Brady Pearl, thanks for tuning in. KT, thanks for tuning in. The sacrificial soul of dead boy Brady, bad boy punk Brady Pearl. Wow, that's a good one. All right, Wolfie, good to see you. Hope your fur's doing well. Katie Babes, good to see you. Chippy, good to see you. I've done it. Who else have I missed? I've AV80, missed you out, and I missed. Who else did I miss? Torsten, I think I got you there earlier. Emmanuel Delgadillo, yes. The skinny Emmanuel. Good to see you, my friend. Jiu-Jitsu, thank you for being here. Cool T, yes. I was freaking out at 9:30 when it was suspended at market open. No idea why they halted. Halt, you know, and then schnell. I made a bad trades on Raven, and it made me determined to make that dollar back. Finally have in the last month. Right. Last second before I go, be very careful. Read the book, The Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. If you haven't, read it. If you've read it already, read it again. It's quite enjoyable. And remember to never try and buy the fur coat. Just never try and buy the fur coat. Now, that fur coat can come in many different shapes and sizes. It might actually be a fur coat in the window of a shop that you pass by on your way to work that you want to buy for your wife, that everybody in the office suddenly starts to want to buy for their wife, to the point where nobody's able to even make any money because they've got this weird target in terms of that. Do not let former losses become your fur coat, or you may end up getting that fur burned right off of you. That's a substantial lesson for a lot of people out there. That's completely meaningless. For a lot of other people are out there right now, they're going, aha, yeah, maybe he's speaking some sense. It's not for a lesson for everybody that right now, but it is a lesson for everybody in terms of the long term. Never buy the fur coat. Never buy the fur coat. But well done for you making your money back. I just hope that you were thinking about it in a healthy way. You know, you think about it in a healthy way, that's fine. Long term success. Take each day as it comes. Take each game as it comes. You have to develop consistency. Consistency will take care of anything else. If you're able to be consistent, then forget about any individual loss. They'll all be recovered in time. Pushing yourself or pushing in a particular way for something can obviously be a risk. With that being said, though, I want to say thank you everybody for tuning in today. Rich Agrio as well. Good to see you, by the way, buddy. You were maybe late to the show, but you weren't too late to get the final shout out of the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next time. By the way, today was ticker bingo, and we only had one. We only had one that would have got the ticker bingo going, but we covered everything that we would have covered anyway. So next time, ticker bingo on Tuesday. Okay. See you. Hit like on my show and send the clip to friends you know. Tell them it's the greatest show on YouTube. Hey, you know, get out my garden.